One Piece chapter 1098. Man, I was sitting there thinking like, oh, Kuma did it. Kuma did it. Kuma didn't do it. This is, oh man, this is so foul. And like my heart's breaking all over again for Bonney, man. Like, wow. Wow. The celestial dragons, like, just when you think they can't go no further, when you think they can't go no further with how foul they are, you get a chapter like this, and then you just think back to like how one of the celestial dragons wanted to have his way with Shirahoshi, and like you just realize like they are scum. There's no redeeming qualities. They are scum. Like, wow. So when Ginny was captured, I was like, oh, okay, maybe she's pregnant or something like that. I don't think that was the case because just based off what we've seen, 2 years passed and like she goes across the sea and it's because she's got Bonney with her. And like Bonnie's not Kuma's real daughter. But like, what is a father though? Like, is father something determined by birth? I would say no. Like, I mean, I don't really have a relationship with my blood father, but I've never had a man in my life that I've ever been able to call dad either. So it's one of those things like, terms like that, number one, they're earned, but also number two, they're terms that aren't determined by blood. Like, for all intents and purposes, Kuma is her father because he raised her. And that's just so heartbreaking right there. Like, man, to know everything that he's gone through and that Bonnie's gone through, and the fact that he lied to her in order to protect her innocence. And to hear, like, hey, your child is not going to live past 10 years old. Man, I would be depressed. But he was able to put on a smiling face for her. Oh, man. Kuma is strong. Like, Kuma's strong, man. Like, he's becoming one of my favorite characters now, man. Like, Oda, it don't cease to amaze me. Like, he develops these characters, and I find myself getting more and more invested in multiple characters throughout the entirety of the series itself. To where, like, I have my favorites, but I love all of them, except for Helmeppo and the Celestial Dragons. I don't like them. I will never like them. But dude, like, wow. So backing up, because like I don't want this turned to a fanboy reviewing or rather reaction. I'm not even reviewing so much as reacting blindly. But essentially, we open up and like the Revolutionary Army, they're at the HQ, and we find out what happened, where they got some of the people back from Gold Kingdom, and we find out also that like Ginny's been captured. You see Kuma's reaction to it. Kuma looks completely pissed off at this point, and it hits home even harder when you hear that she was on a government ship that's being taken to the Celestial Dragon. She's going to be one of their wives. You see how Dragon knows that Kuma's hurting, and rightfully so, because when somebody that you've known for so long is being basically used as a slave, like she's married, but for all intents and purposes, she's a slave and an object. Like, you're helpless. There's nothing you can do. And that's the worst thing possible, because when people you love are hurting or in a terrible situation, you want to do everything possible to take that pain off of them, and yet you can't do it. And it hurts even more when you look at Kuma's character from this perspective. He has the power to take away other people's hurt, other people's pain, and yet right now he is hurting, and he can't take the pain that he's feeling for Ginny. He can't take that pain. He can't take the pain that she's feeling in the situation she's in because he can't get to her. This is gorgeous writing right now. Like, this is gorgeous. Oh my God, man. This is gorgeous. So we jump ahead 2 years later, and you get like the narration where Ginny's saying, we're here, Bonney. And we don't know at the time where here is. And she's contacting Kuma and the revolutionaries. And she says like, hey, I got sick and they don't want me anymore. They being the Celestial Dragons, they dumped me off. And she says that she's dying. Kuma hears this. You can tell that it's eating Kuma alive at this point. And when she says that they don't need to bother come looking for her, Kuma's already figured out where she went back to. And so before anyone can stop Kuma, he's already gone outside and he's teleported himself back to Sorbet Kingdom, back by that church. And we see that Kuma has gone over to her. And this is where we start finding out more about Bonney's fate. Because Ginny's entire body is turned blue and it's hard as stone. And it's because she stepped into light. And at first I'm going, what did they do to her? And I'm like, wait, is this some vampire stuff? But then I'm like, well, she was in the sunlight before. So like, what happened? And when you get that series of flashbacks where Kuma is thinking about her throughout the years, and one of his last memories of her is like, hey, let's get married, Kuma. And you see him crying the ugly tears, which that panel right there where Kuma is thinking about her saying, I'll make you happy, that panel and the way that he is drawn there, that is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. You can hear it in my voice. Like, that one touched me. And what's even more touching is he's crying. Oh man, my voice broke. Like, Oda got me, man. Oda got me. Like, oh man, like my eyes are watering right now. Like, I'm reading this chapter and my eyes are watering. And just thinking about this, oh man, yo, Oda got me fucking watering up right now. Like, I can count on one hand the number of manga that have done this. This hurts. Oh, this hurts. This hurts, man. Oh man, yo man, fuck you, Oda. Oh man, I'm gonna have to cut this out more than likely, man. I might keep it in, because that's part of the joy of like doing. I'm gonna keep it in, fuck it. That's part of the joy of doing the blind reactions and experiencing One Piece from the beginning as a brand new fan without going through spoilers. You can get these reactions like this. Like, I times like this, I wish I was still recording with the camera on. That way you could see my face, because like I'm watering up right now, man. I'm watering up. But until Naruto Explained hits 1,000,000 subscribers, I more than likely won't go back on camera again. That's like part of like the whole mystique thing. Even though like legend has it, if you go through some of the sponsorships on that channel, you might see my face. Legend has it. I ain't gonna cap. You will see my face if you go through some of the sponsorships, man. But you gotta dig through them. OG subscribers from Kryptonian saying, you guys know what I look like. But moving back to it though, man. Like, so I'm waffling a little bit. But the fact that Kuma is crying over Bonnie's body, and she's a small child, and he's holding Ginny's body in his hands as he's crying, looking down at her child. And he makes that declaration that he will raise her daughter. That is a different kind of love. That is a different kind of love. And I'm going to sound super petty. There's 8% of you guys that are women on this channel here. This is probably going to piss a lot of you guys off. And I'm going to say it now. I'm going to apologize. But I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know if I could have raised another man's child. Especially another man's child with a woman that you can tell Kuma clearly loved and wouldn't allow himself to be with her because he blames himself for his own genetics and didn't want to curse her with that. And yet you can see the guilt where like he might be thinking like, well, maybe if we'd have been married, maybe this never would have happened. Her being with me wouldn't have been as bad as this. She suffered, but at the same time, they would have been captured. She would have suffered just like his own mother suffered. So you can see where like there's some self-regret going on here, but I almost would have blamed the child. It's irrational, but love makes you do crazy things. I would have blamed the child, man. Like maybe over time you get over it, but man, to make that declaration right there, and I get it, the child's innocent. The child's innocent. So I get it, but man, to make that declaration there and to see it through, Kuma, he's a real one. And I like how you see him mourning at the grave for a little bit, and then he's trying to do the bottle and give her the food and everything. And like reminds me of the first time I held my nephew and I had to give him the bottle and everything. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Stuff like that you don't really learn. Or rather, you don't really know it right then and there. You learn it as you go. And so you see Kuma going through where he's raising Bonney as his own child. And she's got the appetite and etc. And you see how Kuma is continuing to raise her and bathe her. And Kuma's also still partaking in some of the stuff you see with the Revolutionary Army. You see the first interaction he has with Sabo, which it's been a while since I've seen Sabo that small. I had to do a double take, but like the top hat gave it away. And so we get to the next heartbreaking panel where Kuma has shuttered all the windows in the church. And that's where I went, oh my God, man. Don't tell me she's got this sickness too. And sure enough, she does. And it's because she's got that stone gem on her face. And they lay it out there. They say that's the same thing that killed Ginny. And so when they can't find a cure right then and there, Kuma says, hey, I got to leave. I can't be part of the Revolutionary Army anymore. I got to leave. I got to spend my time with my daughter. And Dragon, being a real one, says like, hey, do what you got to do. Live without regrets. Live well without regrets. And that's big of him to do that because Kuma is a hell of an asset. He is a hell of an asset to give up. But Dragon understands the importance of children. So I did like seeing that. And Dragon makes him a solid promise. He says like, hey, we'll ask every doctor in the world that we can. We'll look for a cure for. And then we see Bonney is just like a little hellraiser. And you expect it just based off what we've seen with her at her current age now. But like, she's giving the middle finger. She's drop kicking people. She's just raising hell. And when like the kids are saying like, hey, you know, you're a vampire and they're holding the cross, that's when she drop kicks the kid and she's like, hey, idiot, we're inside of a church. If a cross is going to do something to me, don't you think me being under the roof of a cross would do something? She's making the scary faces. It's absolutely hilarious. And I like how you see the overprotective side of Kuma where he grabs hold of her wrist and he says like, hey, like, you just being at the door like that scares the living daylights out of me. Don't do that. And you can tell she understands that he doesn't want her to go out into the sunlight. And yet at the same time, she also doesn't understand because she's a child, the severity of the situation she's in. And I like how, like when she, you know, starts to feel bad for herself, Kuma says like, hey, you know, those scales on your face, you call it a disease. Those are really your jewels. And it's okay, like that's how we got like the name that she's got in the current timeline now. And you see how as a father he's able to take something that will be an insecurity for, something that is a weighted burden for, and he's basically able to make her feel good about it. He's treating her like a princess. And you know, like we do it to an extent, like with our children. And in particular with our girls, because like with the boy, you know, we say, hey, little whatever, you know, you ain't shit, suck it up. But like with the girls, you know, we baby them because girls are a little more prone to emotion than guys are. And so it's one of those things where it's stereotypical, but I did enjoy seeing that right there on how he was able to nurture her in just those small moments like that. And I like how like we get like Sky Island dropped and you know, she knows him enough where like he's told her the stories about Nika and, you know, he starts doing like the dancing and everything. It's like, you know, when Luffy and Nika, or excuse me, when Luffy and Kuma end up interacting and Luffy's in Gear 5, I don't know if Oda's setting this up for that to be the thing that completely saves Kuma, but I don't think that's by accident. You get the moment like with Fishman Island, and Bonnie's talking about all the different things that she wants to do when she reaches these different age brackets, and essentially find out that the Sapphire scales is the disease that she has, and that it's going to spread over time, and that she's not going to live past the age of 10. And Bonney ends up hearing part of it, and she just hears age 10, and Kuma, he lies to her. He lies to her, and he says like, hey, you know, I was told that you won't get better until you reach the age of 10. And you can tell like he's lying, but he's also telling the truth because he's looking at it from the perspective of like, You're thinking, I mean better as in you'll be cured. I'm saying 10 in order to keep your spirits up. And when you do end up dying from this, you'll be better in the sense that you're not in a situation where you're suffering anymore. So I get why Oda wrote the lines he did there, but this hurt. Like, this hurt, man. Like, again, this is one of the few times where a freaking series has made me cry. And this is the only shonen, this is only the second shonen that has ever moved me to tears like this. Like, my eyes are watering just thinking about that panel where Bonnie's on top of Kuma and Kuma seeing, yeah, at the age of 10. It's heartbreaking to see that. And then we end off the chapter where the king is back at it again. He's going to burn everyone that he thinks is useless. And you can see that Kuma has been spurred to action. And you can tell this is where we get to the moment where Kuma ends up acting and ends up getting taken. Like, man, Oda is playing with my heart right now, man. Oda's playing my heart. And I kind of want to know from you guys, man, because this is going to be a longer review than normal. I want to know, like, what was your reaction to this? Like, am I overreacting to this? I really want to know, because, like, this one touched me. I guess, like, the proper answer is that whatever you're feeling is what you're feeling. So you're not technically overreacting because it's a genuine emotion. And, like, when you write, you really want to be able to stir up emotions like that. It says a lot that you've been able to create characters that people have connected so strongly with. And for whatever reason, this has hit me. I don't know if, like, it's because I'm an uncle. I don't know if it's because I've had pregnancy scares and I've thought about, like, the children's stuff, because at several points I thought that I was my father. I don't know what it was. This is, wow. This hits, man. This hits, man. So I want to know where you guys are, how you guys felt about this, because, wow. If Oda's cooking like this, man, like, the editor I get for this channel to start working on the reviews when I get caught up, man, ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. These gonna be some long reviews. These gonna be some long reviews, man. Like, I gotta, ooh. Man, I might have to edit those reviews myself until I get the channel going, because, like, oh. But, hey, that's a little behind the scenes right there, because those would be scripted reviews like I do on Kryptonian Sand and like I do on Naruto Explained. So I won't be doing, like, the react stuff. This will be, the reviews will be more scripted and focused after I've had time to get my thoughts out. But, you know, like, wow. I'm gonna leave this off here, man. Wow. Oda, fuck you, Oda, for this, man. I'm in my feelings right now.